So I know this happened a few weeks ago. I just saw the video like a week ago, and I saw that like a lot of people had already responded to it. I watched some of the response videos too, but I just can't get it out of my mind. Kat Von D's video is one of the weirdest types of these videos I've ever seen in terms of like clarification videos or kind of like clearing the air type videos, responding to scandal or backlash videos. It's just weird. So I want to talk about it. I want to start actually with the anti-vax part, which comes at the end of the video, and she only spends like not even a minute and a half on it. So she says that she's not anti-vax, but what she is a first-time mother, you know, basically meaning that she is very concerned about what goes in and on her baby, and she researches everything. She said that she had some hesitancy after researching vaccines. She says she never would have shared her decision not to vaccinate her baby if she had known the response that it was going to, you know, receive from people, if she had known that it was going to let people down. And then she ends by saying that she is now essentially following the advice of her pediatrician, letting the pediatrician educate them and guide them regarding the decision to vaccinate, but she's not going to make this decision public, nor any decision regarding her child's medical record. So yeah, this obviously clarifies nothing. I'm hoping that by following her pediatrician, listening to her pediatrician, that means that she is going to appropriately vaccinate her kid, you know, following the CDC schedule, since most pediatricians do that, right? Most pediatricians follow and support the CDC schedule for vaccination. Unfortunately, not all pediatricians. I mean, the guy who popularized the delayed vaccine schedule or alternative vaccine schedule, whatever you want to call it, Dr. Bob Sears, is an actual pediatrician. And anti-vaxxers or vaccine hesitant people, whatever you want to call them, like Kat, tend to seek out these kind of doctors, right? Especially if they have the resources to do so, which obviously Kat Von D has the money. She has the ability to seek out these doctors if she wants to. And based on this response, you know, I would not be surprised at all if this is what Kat is doing. If she is seeing a pediatrician who is okay with her doing or even encouraging her to do a delayed vaccine schedule, or even just not vaccinate at all. Side note, Dr. Sears has actually encouraged parents to hide their views on vaccines. I also warn them not to share their fears with their neighbors, because if too many people avoid the MMR, we'll likely see the diseases increase significantly. So he admits that vaccines work and that herd immunity is a thing, yet thinks it's totally fine to hide in the herd. That's the way that Dr. Parikh put it for Salon. Yeah, he thinks it's fine for these people to benefit from the rest of us, you know, actually getting vaccinated. Yeah, is that evil? I don't know. I feel like it's evil. I mean, look, if Kat were vaccinating, why would she not just come out and say it? It's so weird, acting as though it's just so personal, you know, saying this is part of my kid's medical record, so I'm not going to talk about it, is just weird, especially considering that she obviously had no problem making it public that she wasn't going to vaccinate her child. You know, you guys know how private I am with my kids, going so far as to like not even share their genders, right? I mean, that's weird. I know it is, like, no one does that. And yet I have no problem saying that, yeah, my kids are vaccinated. Yeah, they're up to date on all of their shots. That Kat doesn't just say, hey, I've changed my mind about vaccines and I'm now vaccinating my kid. It makes me think that, yeah, she's probably anti-vax. She's probably not vaccinating her kid. And I think this is further supported by the original clarification that she made on Instagram. So she deleted the original, you know, post where she said she wasn't going to vaccinate, and then she put up this post, which is still public. She says basically the same thing that she says in the video, that she's not anti-vax, that she just has concerns about, you know, toxins or whatever. But she does go into a little bit more detail. And she says, while we believe medications, including vaccines, are not all bad, we also can't dismiss the fact that some may not be good for everyone. So that on its own would be fine. I mean, no one denies that there are some people who cannot receive certain vaccines. But she goes on, there are plenty of studies that show some vaccinations can work wonders. Some vaccinations? What vaccinations don't work wonders. All of the vaccinations on the CDC schedule have proven incredibly effective at preventing disease. Maybe she's talking like specifically about the flu vaccine, which is obviously much less effective than something like the MMR vaccine. And obviously efficacy varies from season to season for a variety of reasons. Even still, the flu vaccine is recommended for children and adults, given that it prevents illness and death and is very low risk. And there are also studies that show some people, including mothers and babies, may be more susceptible to vaccine injuries more than others. Again, what vaccines is she talking about, and why mothers specifically? That seems weird to me, unless she's talking about pregnant women. There are vaccines that pregnant women get, Tdap, and the flu shot, and if you're Rh negative like I am, you would get RhoGAM at about 28 weeks. All of these are incredibly low risk, and they offer huge benefits for us and for our baby or babies if you're carrying multiples. Tdap prevents whooping cough, which can be deadly for infants. Millions of vaccinations are administered to children and adults in the United States each year. Serious adverse reactions are uncommon, and deaths caused by vaccines are very rare. Healthcare providers can take specific actions to help prevent adverse reactions, including proper screening for contraindications and precautions, and observing a 15-minute waiting period after vaccinating to prevent fall-related injuries from fainting. With respect to the recent claims of deaths caused by MMR vaccine, drawing broad cause and effect conclusions between vaccination and deaths based on spontaneous reports to VAERS, some of which might be anecdotal or secondhand, is not a scientifically valid practice. In fact, a review of the VAERS data reveals that many of the death reports for MMR vaccine involved children with serious pre-existing medical conditions or were likely unrelated to vaccination, for example, accidents. These complete VAERS reports and any accompanying medical records, autopsy reports, and death certificates have been reviewed in depth by FDA and CDC physicians, and no concerning patterns have emerged that would suggest a causal relationship with the MMR vaccine and death. It's ultimately a numbers game, which I know sounds kind of callous when we're talking about human lives, but it's ultimately how we decide on anything in life. Driving a car is one of the most dangerous things that most of us will ever do, and yet we do it because it has, obvious benefits that outweigh the small chance that we end up in a major car crash. Having children can also be incredibly dangerous, but we do it because the likelihood that we would end up with some sort of severe complication, either, for us or for the baby, is very, very low. The vast majority of women in developed countries survive giving birth and give birth to healthy babies. Getting vaccinated is not even close to one of the most dangerous things that we do in life, and yet it's one of the things with the most benefits. Far more people died or suffered long-term, permanent injuries like deafness before widespread vaccination than have ever been injured by vaccinations. We save so many more lives by vaccinating. So Kat Von D may not be against all vaccinations, but clearly she is hesitant. Clearly she believes that some vaccines are just too risky. Assuming that she still stands by this post, then she's definitely vaccine hesitant, or what many of us would call anti-vax, because she is very clearly using anti-vax talking points and very clearly ignoring the experts who are relying on mountains of evidence that prove that vaccines are effective and very low risk. By sharing this statement with thousands and thousands of people, she is absolutely promoting vaccine hesitancy, if you want to call it that, instead of anti-vax garbage, and she is potentially influencing people, potentially encouraging people to not vaccinate their kids. And this video does not change that. So one more thing, and then we will move on to the other portion of the video, the NAZI portion of the video. I'm just going to spell it out because I think if I say it, I will get demonetized, even if I don't have it in the thumbnail or the description or metadata. I think I might get demonetized. I've only been flagged like a few times. I'm very fortunate in terms of my channel and my content and stuff. I mean, most of my stuff isn't really controversial, so that makes sense. But the couple times I have been flagged, it's been whenever I've talked about NAZI stuff. So I'm just going to spell it. I'm sorry. I know that's a little bit obnoxious, but, so the last thing, Kat is acting as though this is just a personal decision, for her family, and we should just leave her alone. We should shut up and respect her privacy. She's acting like, I don't know, like we're trying to like we're asking about like her child's blood type or something, you know, something like innocuous and, or like really personal like that. It reminds me of when like meat eaters will say, well, you know, don't criticize my diet because it's just my personal choice and it's none of your business, that sort of thing. But of course, vegans like Kat Von D would say that no, you know, it's not just a personal choice to eat, because obviously their personal choice to eat meat affects others. Obviously, it harms animals and humans as well. Not vaccinating is the same. Not only is it harmful for the child, for her child, and putting them at risk, but it also puts the rest of us at risk, especially those who have compromised immune systems and people who cannot receive all of these vaccinations, people who can't get the MMR vaccine. So yeah, of course, people are going to judge her for not vaccinating, right? She's a public figure. Many people, like myself, are worried about her, again, possibly influencing people, possibly encouraging people not to vaccinate by posting this stuff, because there are lots of people who obviously idolize her and support her because she is vegan, and they believe that she's a very, you know, wise, compassionate person. And also, she sells shit, right? She has a makeup line. I think maybe she has some other stuff too. I'm not sure. And many people don't want to support her. They don't want to buy her products if she is undermining public health by not vaccinating. So now the first part of the video, the vast majority of Kat's video. So she tells this story, something that happened about a decade ago when she was on the show Miami Inc. Apparently, a coworker of hers, this is all according to Kat, was very jealous of her, and when he found out that she was leaving, she was getting her own spin-off show that she was going to star in, LA Inc., he took an 8x10 of her, a photo of her, wrote it as though she had written this to him and given it to him as a Jewish man. He is Jewish. So then he took this to TLC, the network, who I guess they did Miami Inc. and also LA Inc., essentially to hurt her career, right? And to like potentially get the show canceled. So full disclosure, I did not know anything about this before this video, before seeing the title of the video. I knew about the anti-vax stuff. I did not know about the anti-Semitic stuff at all. And honestly, I thought that part, you know, might be BS. Honestly, because she's vegan. I mean, look, there are obviously some vegans who believe some awful stuff, including some anti-Semitic stuff, some misogynistic stuff, even from some like high-profile vegan YouTubers. But vegans tend to be very compassionate and not bigots. So I assumed that this probably isn't true. Kat Von D's probably not a bigot. And after hearing her describe this story, I thought like, wow, you know, if that's true, that's really terrible. What an awful thing to do to someone, to try to hurt their career, to try to just slander them and make them look like a horrible person. And then I watched some response videos. I watched the Jen Loves Reviews one. I watched this one from Daisy Foxglove and this one from Ready to Glare. So first, there is another side to this story that Kat shares. According to her, after the coworker gave this signed photo to TLC, they like investigated and determined that no, this wasn't her, you know, whatever, we're going to go on with the show, you know, forget about it sort of thing. And according to TMZ, that is what TLC said. However, also according to TMZ, TLC hired a handwriting analyst who concluded that Kat very likely wrote it. So who to trust? You know, Kat and TLC, two entities who obviously benefit from this not being true, you know, Kat not having written this thing, or TMZ, a tabloid website. I don't know. Second, this is not the only reason why people think that Kat Von D is not a super cool person. Her current husband has this tattooed on his neck. Her former boyfriend, Jesse James, did this and also dated someone, Michelle McGee, who did this. She named a lipstick shade Selection. So the tattoo is a reverse swastika. I think it's just someone trying to be edgy. You know, he also has the Star of David. I think it's just someone who's very immature and just trying to be edgy. The Jesse James thing, apparently he did it to, again, to be edgy type thing. His former girlfriend, Michelle McGee, she said she did the photo shoot because the photographer told her to, basically, and said, oh, other models did it, so just do it. And so she just did it. She also had a swastika tattoo that she had covered. She has a WP tattoo, white power tattoo. And then there was also a photo taken in her home with like block letters arranged on a fridge that spelled go white power. It's a lot. But, now we're talking about the former girlfriend of a person who Kat dated. So, do I think that reflects badly on Kat? No, I don't. The thing that really gets me is the lipstick shade name. Why? Why would she do this? Why would she choose that name? Especially in light of what had already happened. The Jesse James thing had already happened. The photo had already happened. Why? Why, even without those things, why would you want to be associated with that word? Why would you want to be associated with a word that is associated with the Holocaust? Maybe she just loves controversy. I mean, she did name another shade Underage Red, which interestingly enough, she did actually talk about this. She made a very long Facebook post defending the name. When naming a lipstick, my process may be different than other brand founders. For me, I can look at a shade and it usually evokes a feeling. Some names aren't as sentimental and are more literal, but I remember clearly the day I named Underage Red. I can only wonder what feeling this shade evoked for her to make her name it a word that is included in Wikipedia's glossary of NAZI Germany. And if you are going to make a video like this, if you are going to respond to people's concerns, why would you not address this? Why would you not address the lipstick, which in my opinion is the most damning evidence by far? Having dated someone who, yeah, probably an NAZI. Okay. Being married to someone with a tattoo like this, okay. The photo, again, who knows what really happened. But choosing to name a product that you sell something with your name on it, this word selection, according to Kat, she is the sole creative force behind her brand. She is the only one responsible for naming every single one of her shades. So she's the one who named this shade. And in the context of all the other stuff, it's really bad. So basically, I didn't think that she was an NAZI sympathizer before, but now, is it a kind of where there's smoke, there's fire situation? Maybe. So good job, Kat. I likely never would have known about any of this stuff if it weren't for your video. And I had totally forgotten about the anti-vax stuff too, so good job. Which brings me back to what I said at the beginning of the video, that this is one of the weirdest clearing the air type videos I've ever seen. She says she is not anti-vax, and yet she won't clearly say that she's going to vaccinate her kids after clearly saying that she was not going to vaccinate her kid. She says she isn't an NAZI, and yet she doesn't address any of the major reasons why people believe that she is. She made a clarification video clarifying nothing. I mean, I don't know. Did she really think this was going to satisfy people? Maybe it did. She did disable comments, although obviously we can see comments from people on her other Instagram posts and on all the other, response videos that people did. And at least from that, it's clear that a lot of people are not happy. And why now? I mean, the anti-vax thing happened almost a year ago. It happened last summer. And, this video doesn't say anything new. Again, it's basically saying the same thing that she said last summer on Instagram. Some have speculated that her business is suffering due to all of the backlash. And so this is just like a PR move. That would be really surprising to me, because I would just assume that it wouldn't really hurt her that bad, because probably most people don't even know about this. Only like ultra online people are going to know about any of this stuff. The rest of the people are just going to, they're just consumers going to Sephora and like, hey, this palette looks nice. Oh yeah, sure. But that's just speculation on my part as well. So yeah, I don't know why she made this video. I don't know why she thought, I just can't imagine thinking this was a good idea. I didn't even mention that she started by saying that she's Mexican and implying that if you're Mexican, you can't hold those beliefs. I kind of understand a little bit. I mean, it's like the vegan thing. You're probably going to be, certain people are going to be much less likely, right, to hold those views. And I would imagine that someone who is part of a minority, I believe she grew up in California, so she grew up in America. So I would imagine that people who are, African American, Hispanic, whatever, are probably much less likely to be an NAZI, right? They're probably going to be more likely to sympathize with other minorities, right? But yeah, there's no guarantee, obviously. So her starting with that was weird. But yeah, the whole video is weird, and it's just weird. But I do want to end on a positive note. I read some articles, and like I said, I watched some of the response videos, and I didn't see anyone talking about her being vegan. I didn't see anyone trying to tie the anti-vax stuff or the NAZI stuff to her being vegan, which was very nice and very refreshing, honestly. I feel like if this had happened, like, I don't know, 3 years ago or something, it might have been different. I feel like we would have seen more people, I don't know, kind of tying the things together. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm just being overly sensitive. But yeah, I just thought that was really nice. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, that's cool. Support the channel, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. And I will have a new video very soon. And this is the ugliest thing that we own. It is just absolutely hideous. We got it at Goodwill because like 99.9% of our furniture is from Goodwill, or just free stuff that we got at our previous place because we had like a sharing table thing where people would just put stuff. So we got a lot of free stuff from there. So just looking around our house, like almost all of our furniture, I mean, yeah, like every single thing is used from Craigslist or from Goodwill, or again, just free. I think the couch I'm sitting on, we actually paid for, and it's garbage too. Like, we just needed a cheap couch and we got it off Amazon, and it's awful. It's so hard and uncomfortable. And then we have a nice IKEA couch that we got for super cheap on Craigslist, and it's pretty comfy. But yeah, this is the ugliest thing I think that we've gotten. It's got this like phony bamboo thing, I guess is what they're going for. But we needed some shelving, and one day I don't know. Well, I say I won't do it. Partner will take this off and like paint it and stuff, and it'll be fine. But I guess I'm feeling insecure about it, so I felt like I needed to comment on it and explain, like, no, I don't think this looks good. This is really ugly, but it was $10 at Goodwill, so